Howdy, y'all. Caleb here. We've had a couple requests in the comments for 1,000 point lists for Age of Sigmar and our new Seraphon Battle Tome. So, I came up with a couple lists. See what you think. Let me know what you're running at 1,000 points if you're playing at 1,000 points. Now, we do have our points limit here. There are two different categories that are given in Age of Sigmar, a 1,000 point limit and a 2,000 point. Now, everything in the game is really balanced towards the 2,000 point, but as you're building up towards that, you can play some smaller games, some practice games, or team games even at 1,000 points. So there are some different requirements here, and one of those is you're only allowed to have 1 to 3 leaders instead of up to 6. You can only have 2 battle line, or you have to have 2 battle line units. You can't have more, obviously. Only up to 2 behemoths, your maximum of 2 artillery units. Endless spells is also maxed at 2. Reinforcements is 2, so that means when you have one unit, let's say warriors, they have 10 models in it. If you add another 10 to them, that's 1 reinforcement point. If you add 20 to that unit, that starting unit, that's your 2 reinforcement points. Normally you can have 4. At 1,000 points, you can only have 2. And then allied units are maxed at 2,000 or 200 points as well. So it does play on the same board, which is kind of weird. If you're playing at 1,000 points, it leaves a lot of empty space. Usually when I've played 1,000 point games, I kind of shrink the table a little bit, keeps the action going, and get you into the game a little bit faster. So with all that said, I do have a couple lists here. We'll go through those. These first 2 lists, I kind of wanted to look at if you have the army box set that just came out, what would you add to that to get to 1,000 points? And so my first list is going to be in Fangs of Sotek on the Starborn side of things. And we're taking the Slann that comes in the box. He will be my general with a command trait Vast Intellect so that it knows an extra 2 lore spells. Knowing 3 total lore spells and the one it normally gets and then plus 2 really makes the Slann a lot more useful because it's going to have more spells that it can cast. And so you can do buffs, you can do damage, that kind of types of things. It opens up the options a little bit more. I am taking the artifact Griffeather Charm just to give him a 5-up ward save, help keep our only leader alive in this list. The spells Comet's Call to do damage all the way across the board anywhere you want to, basically. A fantastic spell for doing some mortal wounds. To up to D3 units, or actually up to D6 units, can do D3 mortals. Stellar Tempest is a great way to deal with hordes. So that spell is great. And Mystical Unforging will reduce a unit's Ren to dash. So this is really good as a defensive tool. Put that on an enemy unit if you need to make them less effective in combat. Aspects of the Champion Telemaster, so you can teleport this Slann once per game. In Starborn side of things, Fangs of Sotek, with this list, you do have to keep in mind at 1,000 points, you're still racking up the Celestial Conjuration points, or whatever they're called, the summoning points. And so you might need to have some extra units for your summoning, or you can put them all into the buffs that don't require any summoning. So just think that as you're building these 1,000 point smaller game lists that you might want some summoning here, especially if you're casting some spells with the Slann. My battle line, because it's in Fangs of Sotek, we're allowed to take some Raptadon Chargers of battle line. That's what makes this army set good for Fangs of Sotek, because we've got yet 1 unit of Source Warriors and then 2 units of Chargers that we can build that are all battle line unit, and it makes for a pretty nice 1,000 point battle line unit. I'm also adding in here a Bastiladon for 200 points, the Bastiladon with Arc of Sotek. That's the one with the snakes, and this is a great pinning piece. It's a tank, and it can do some mortal wounds in combat. And so a great unit to be teleporting around with your Slann if you want to. That's always fun there. And makes for a nice little monster at 1,000 points. Some 1,000 point lists aren't going to be able to deal with a 2-up save monster. So that's pretty fun. All in Battle Regiment for 975. So with that, you're probably charging ahead with your Raptors, your Raptadon Chargers, probably teleporting your Bastiladon into a prime location, and then holding the line with the warriors and doing some damage with the Slon. That's probably what I would think with this list. Next up, we do a Koatl's Claw list with the army box as well. Again, the Slon is our general command trait, Master of Material Plane, where it also knows 2 extra spell lords. Just call it something different. A Dixie Grub, Itchy Grubs, whatever you want to call it. That allows, that's the artifact we're taking, allows a heal and a reroll in your hero phase for spells, unbind dispels. Great artifact for this Slon. Spell, we're taking Empowered Celestite as our first spell. That's going to give us extra rend on our warriors. Makes them punch a little bit harder. Earth Trembles is like a poor man's Comet's Call. Probably not going to do a lot of damage, but at 1,000 points, a Slon, probably not the best choice, but we're trying to make the best out of them we can here. So we can do a little bit of damage. And then the third spell would be Telepathic Summon, so you can teleport some warriors around. Aspects of the Champion, Telemaster, same thing as before. We have our 2 battle line units of warriors, and that's what I'm spending my extra points on, is getting another unit of warriors to add into here for that 200 points and fill out the battle line. Because in the army box, we don't have enough battle line for Koatl's Claw army, so we do have to add some warriors to that. Another option, you could add some Aggradons if whenever they come out, because you have enough points, but warriors fit in here nicely. We still have our Raptadon Chargers, and that goes in a battle regiment at 975. Similar strategies here. Your Raptadons are the ones kind of pushing forward, doing damage, turn 1. And then your warriors, you'll get them buffed up a little bit, and they can go in and try to hold objectives because they're quite tough in Koatl's Claw. So, all right, if I'm building a 1,000-point list from scratch, not necessarily using the army box, I've got some lists to look at there. So this first one is Dracothian's Tail, and this is a Trog bomb list. We've seen the video about the Trog bomb. This is a kind of a discount version at under 1,000 points. I was able to fit it in, and that's pretty fun. So it is in Dracothian's Tail, which allows us to have our units up in the sky if we want to. It allows us to have some fun with some teleports here if we want to. Skink Oracle on first in is Lord Croak at 395 points. I didn't list any spells here because he knows them all, but really you're looking for his one spell that he's able to spam for Mortal Wounds, because you can cast that through the Skink Oracle on Troglodon. So I'm going to make the Skink Oracle on Troglodon my general with the command trait Master of Star Ritual, so he knows all the Skink lore, spell lore, and then Artifact Sacred Stegodon Helm to make him a little bit tougher. That adds +1 to save, because you are going to be using the heroic action in Starborn to teleport this Troglodon forward 9 inches away from your enemy, and then you're going to cast Lord Croak's War Scroll spells through the Troglodon and do a bunch of Mortal Wounds. And then probably like Cosmic Crush or something with Troglodon to do a couple extra Mortal Wounds. The Astrolith really helps out with that strategy, as it's going to boost your spellcasting and your spellcasting range. So that's nice. And it gives us a Galatian Veteran to score some points in this book right now. We'll give him Tunnel Master. And then we got 2 units of Skinks as our battle line, and then all comes in at 975. So this is really hitting on the Trog Bomb idea, and that's really where all your damage is coming from, is from Croak through the Troglodon. Troglodon's going to be able to tank pretty well, especially at 1,000 points, but you're going to struggle with any melee. You're not going to do any melee damage in this list. There's not really even a lot of shooting. It's all going to be spell damage. So could be fun, a good practice way to work on your Trog Bomb skills before getting up to 2,000 points. Fangs of Sotek list. I wanted to look at this one as I really want as many Raptadon Chargers as I can. This is going to be a real fast list is what I want. But I want Raptadon Chargers as my battle line. I'm just not even going to mess with Skinks in this one. So what I came up with is a Skink Oracle on Troglodon as my general. I'm giving him the command trait Nimble War Leader, which gives me a runs of 2d6 for units wholly within 18. So now my Raptadon Chargers, they're already pretty quick. I've got a Skink Star Priest and a Star Seer that both have speed of Huanche, which I can run and charge. So one of them will hopefully cast that. Now I can run and charge a unit of Raptadons with a 2d6 run and then charge them with still a +1 on both of those from the War Scroll. So that just kind of supercharges these Raptadons, and they're going to be able to go even further with that Troglodon buff. I put in the Sacred Stegodon helm on him and the spell Cosmic Crush, so we got a little bit of mortal wound, some decent protection for that Troglodon. Gives us a nice beefy general that can cast one spell per turn in this list. I've also got the Skink Star Priest. It's got its Venom Staff to give a buff to the Chargers, which will let it do a mortal wounds on 6s to wound. And so that helps him get out a little bit more damage, especially against a hard target. And then a Starseer, which is a nice 2-cast wizard. I'm also going to give him Speed of Wanche. Starseer is good for, defensive spell casting, but also has that ward save. So as you get things into combat, probably turn 2, you can make things a little bit tougher because those Chargers will die so fast. So with the 5-up ward on maybe 2 of those units in turn 2, they might be able to survive a little bit longer. But really, that gives us 4 total casts, and so hopefully we can start building up some cosmic points and summon something in after a few turns, which is really impactful at 1,000 points. All right, Koatl's Claw Army. This one, I kind of struggled. I wanted a lot of warriors in here. I really wanted the Old Blood on Carnosaur, but I just couldn't quite fit them in. So we downgraded a little bit to the Scarvet on Carnosaur. And with the Scarvet on Carnosaur, I'm giving them the Prime, General. Command trait, Prime War Beast, so we get +1 mount attacks. And then the Artifact of Blade of Realities for +1 rend and +1 damage versus heroes. This really makes the Carnosaur, either variant, really a lot more damaging. So you can load it out with some decent output here. So now, you're having a couple of -2 rend attacks. And you're getting extra attacks on those jaw bites, which are those nice, juicy 5 damage attacks. So I think with those 2 loadouts, it ends up being worth its points at 255. That's pretty good. And it's got that unique ability to do some mortal wounds if things line up just right too on its War Scroll. I've also got a Source Old Blood as a Galatian veteran here with aspect of the Champion Tunnel Master. Old Blood is going to really kind of stay back and help buff the warriors. He can run along with them and give them a +1 to hit and +1 to wound if they get charged, or other way around if they charge somebody too. So you've kind of got how I'd probably run this is the Carnosaur with 1 unit of warriors, the Old Blood with the big the Old Blood on foot with the big unit of warriors, and you can kind of push forward towards 2 different objectives that way. We do have 30 warriors, which is a pretty big amount of wounds. That's 60 wounds, all at -1 damage. Those should be +1 to save most of the game. That can be pretty difficult to get through at 1,000 points, depending on what the opponent brings. And they may want to be focusing on trying to kill your Carnosaur, and then you've still got 60 wounds on a 3-up save coming up behind them. So I like that list at 1,000 points. It's pretty nice. Next up, I did want to do another Koatl's Claw, whatever it's called. One that focuses on Aggradons. They're not out yet, but man, I am very much looking forward to when the Aggradons come out. The Aggradon playstyle, I think, is one that kind of appeals to me. It may not be a great, list in Seraphon, but it seems like a lot of fun. So here I'm taking a Saurus Scarvet on Aggradon. It's only 175, making him my general. That unlocks the Aggradon Lancers as battle line. The command trait is Prime War Beast. I didn't see... you know what? No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Hold on, we got to fix that. Okay, I think I got that fixed now. It should have been Vengeful Defenders, which I spelled wrong anyway. So, one of those kind of videos, we're not going to go back and edit it. So, Vengeful Defenders, that allows us to move in the hero phase with this general and 2 units of Source or Cruxagore. Here we've got our Aggradon Lancers is what we'll be pushing forward. So our general, the Scarvedon Aggradon, pushes forward with the other 2 units of Aggradons, while our 2 units of Source Warriors hold objectives. That all comes in at 995 and quite a few wounds to get through. Everything's pretty tough, but the Aggradons and the general will push forward while your warriors hold objectives. Probably not the best at 1,000 points because Aggradons really want to get stuck in for a long time, so I think you need them in a bigger unit. Here, I guess you could reinforce those Aggradons, put them in a unit of 6, and that would probably be a better idea. And that would buff them. That would allow them to get their buffs up as they stay in combat a little bit longer. So we have Vengeful Defender on the general, and then also throwing on the artifact Blade of Realities to give +1 Rend. So now its spears hitting on -3 Rend, which isn't too shabby for a little hero. You know, that could bust through some stuff. He's still not going to do a tremendous amount of damage, but at 1,000 points, it's not too bad. All right, the last list, I had to make a Thunderlizard list. I struggled with this one. Thunderlizard's in a weird place. The Stegodons got so much more expensive. They're not much better. They're not better at all. Stegodon Chief, I just don't want to take him anymore. Engine of Gods is gone, so this one was a little bit more difficult, but maybe this would work. So we are able to technically get 3 monsters in, even though 2 of them won't count, so it still fits under the limit of only 2 monsters. So because Stegodons are battle line, they lose the behemoth keyword there, so you're good. All right, my general is a Saurus Scarvet on Carnosaur. Same kind of loadout as before. Primor Beast and Blade of Realities gives us extra mount attacks and extra damage. Battle line, we've got 2 Stegodons, and then I've got an artillery piece of Spawn of Sotek. That really just because I had a weird amount of points here. I had like 145, and I was trying to figure out what could I add in there that's going to buff any of these monsters, and I'm struggling there with the Thunder Lizard at 1,000 points. But I think the Spawn of Sotek might be okay. He can kind of hold your back objective as you're pushing forward and still shoot into the fray. And maybe if you get lucky, it'll give your Stegodons an extra pip of Rend into the whatever target they're attacking. So now your Stegodons will be hitting at -2 Rend, which is pretty nice. They'll do a little bit more damage there. And so it could be a good buff. If it goes off, if you're feeling lucky and dice are going your way, then the Spawn of Sotek works. All right, that's my list for 1,000 points. Let me know if you've got one below you've been running, and we'll see you on the next one.